Hey everyone, it's Elizabeth, and I would like to share with you a little bit about how yoga therapy can help with grief and loss, what I like to think of as living into the heart of the human experience. If you haven't met me before, I'll take a couple minutes just for a quick introduction. Feel free to scroll past this or fast forward, as we Gen Xers like to say, and go right on into the next part of this, which dives right into the grief bit. So, I began training as a yoga teacher and a yoga therapist back in 2002. And then I trained as a grief recovery specialist with the Grief Recovery Institute. I received a master's degree in practical theology back in 2023. It's all the lovely academic certification stuff, but I'm also a griever. I'm happy here, but still a griever. My loss story includes the death of both of my parents, a divorce, pet loss, which, as if you've experienced it, can be some of the most potent and pure grief that you experience. My best friend moved away in the middle of high school. Lots of other experiences of grief and loss during this 50 plus years here living on this planet. So, grief, the easiest way to begin a discussion about grief is to know that grief is the natural response to loss, and loss is a natural, even essential part of life, as witnessed here in the beauty of this leaf picture of last fall. 100% of us, 100% of humans experience loss. So it's coming your way. And even though everyone experiences it, we don't often expect it and we're not prepared for it. We don't really know what to do when it arrives. We don't know how to help our friends or our family members, our beloveds that are experiencing grief, but it really hurts and it usually hurts every single time. In my experience of working with clients over the many years, I happen to find a lot of beauty in grief, which is why I included this photo of this leaf here, because grief, unlike a lot of other human experiences, have has a really big potential for us to really feel ourselves as fully human. The range of emotions that we experience, the physical experiences, the mental agility required, and the spiritual metamorphosis that we can sometimes undertake when we're grieving, it's quite profound. So it's helpful to know what doesn't help: distraction, ignoring, recoiling, stoicism, denial. These are all things that we do normally and naturally. When after my dad died, I watched the entire series of Schitt's Creek and went through volume after volume of podcasts on History Hit, and it helped for a minute. It does have a momentarily bit of helpfulness to it, but it doesn't really help us in the long run. And what does help, this is good to know right after that slide, is to tell the story, simply telling the story of what happened to you, not so that you relive it or you revive those emotions, but you're bringing the story to the fire, so to speak, to be witnessed. Connection helps. And this is oftentimes such a difficult piece when we're in the throes of a grieving process. As we begin to move through this, however, we eventually begin to understand that connecting back to the ongoing story of life truly does help. Acceptance helps. Understanding that no matter how crappy the loss was, it did happen. Memorializing. This one is a great tool that we have to keep the thread of what we loved most about the thing we lost, the person we lost, the experience that we lost. We are moving it forward in our lives, which of course leads to integration and lastly, well, like I've been saying, moving through the grief. I'm talking about physically moving through the grief, emotionally moving through the grief, mentally moving through it, recognizing that we are moving through an experience and that we can keep the baby, keep the good stuff, but throw out the dirty bathwater. So, how does yoga help? How exactly does yoga help? Unconditional acceptance of what is. This is such a key tenet to our understanding of a yogic approach to life. We begin to understand that this moment simply exists, even with the grief. And we begin to understand then, of course, what unconditional acceptance is. And we honor the change as constant. Life on this planet is all about continual change. We begin to honor that change as the constant that is. We can uncover our unexamined beliefs. This is a great one for beginning to know what it is that's been motivating us that we didn't even know. All of a sudden, we can begin to really see what's there. We can begin to unravel the knots of the heart. We call this for diagranti in yoga. This idea that there are blockages when it comes to emotion that maybe we didn't know were there, and all of a sudden, oh, well, that's there. And with consistent practice, we can begin to slowly unravel those knots and begin to feel ourselves a little freer. And then, of course, we are still here. And if I'm still here, can I set a direction for my future? Can I understand where it is that I want to orient? That's our skillfulness in action. And we begin to feel connected within as a whole human. Loss can make us feel cut off from ourselves, cut off from our community. And this gentle, slow process of yoga helps us to reconnect with what truly matters. So let's take a little side trip here. You may or may not know of yoga therapy. Uh, And so let's get this clarity going on here. So this definition is from the International Association of Yoga Therapists, which is a great organization. I'm a member of it, and we are recognizing that all of yoga is potentially therapeutic and healing, yes, but yoga therapy is the specific application of these tools. Could be the postures, could be the breath work, could be mantra, could be meditation, could be the philosophy. All of it, we use those tools and we uniquely put together. It's like tailoring. Like it's actually understanding, oh, this is how these clothes could fit me if they were tailored to me. We address the individual's physical, mental, emotional, and even spiritual needs because you are unique. You are unique just like everyone else. And the other thing to remember is you are not alone. So the complex and nuanced experience of grief, everyone can feel it differently, but you're not alone. 100% of us are grievers. So, a sample session, if you would come to work with me, we would do a check-in. Sometimes the check-in is pretty long. We talk about what's the narrative of today and what's the intention of today. Oftentimes, that's where the work lies, and getting those two things to actually line up with one another. And then we may move over and do a practice. It could include movement, which is what most people think of. Typically, when you think of yoga, you think of the postures. That certainly could be part of it. But there's also breath work. There's also meditation. There's also chanting, if chanting something that you would find would work well for you. So lots of tools there. And then of course there's the checkout. There's okay, I've done this. Now how my reflection. We call this kind of self-reflection svadhyaya in yoga. We're looking at what's going on and actually reflecting on it. In truth, the reflection oftentimes happens after you would leave working with me, and then when you come back the next time, this is the insight I had about myself. Okay, so, oh yes, as we wrap up here, guideposts along the path of healing. It's always good to know. Like I don't want to be crying in the middle of the grocery store for the rest of my life. So I need to know that I'm actually moving forward. So here are some of the guideposts that I've found have been really helpful. We allow those waves of grief to happen without needing to change them, and specifically without needing them to fix them. Grief is not something that needs to be fixed. We also begin to recognize and release the beliefs that no longer serve us. I thought this was true. I thought that I couldn't manage the electric bill because so and so always did it. Actually, that's not true. I'm totally capable of doing this. So we can release some of those beliefs that no longer serve us. And we can make meaning from our current circumstances, life as it is here in this moment, with the beliefs that we do rely on. We have a belief structure, just like we have a musculoskeletal structure. We have a belief structure. So, what are the ones that are helpful? What are the ones that we no longer need anymore? We can understand our patterns of behavior that keep us stagnant. This is a really good, insightful one when it comes up. We realize, oh, I'm the one blocking my own path forward here. Which leads to, of course, transformation. We're continuing the novel, we're continuing the ongoing story of life, and we allow ourselves to become new again and perhaps even flourish. I took this photo this spring. I thought it was such a perfect example of what I was speaking about here, in that here's this beautiful new daffodil, probably in March, and it's growing up out of the leaf detritus of the year before, the compost from the experiences that were. Here is new life flourishing again. Okay, so if you have made it this far in this little chat, thank you. I really appreciate you listening. And I will hope that you will contact me and let me know if you're ready to work with some of the grief stuff that's going on in your life. I love to work with people individually, in person or virtual. Workshops at my studio here in Columbus, Ohio, or around and about, retreats, of course. That's always a beloved way to really get into this stuff. And then I'm open to new ideas. So please let me know if you would like to chat further. We can go from there. Thank you so much. I hope that this video has given you a little bit of light in your life, and you go and you pass that light on to everyone else. Namaste.